Democrats and Republicans are warning President Donald Trump not to fire special counsel Robert Mueller.
The president unleashed a series of tweets over the weekend lashing out at Mueller, accusing him of leading a biased investigation into his campaign's connections to Russia. That led to some warnings about a possible firing.
If he tried to do that, that would be the beginning of the end of his presidency, because we're a rule of law nation.
If the president reaches out and stops this investigation, that is a constitutional crisis in this country.
So far, 4 former Trump campaign aides have been charged with financial crimes or lying to the FBI. 3 of them have pleaded guilty and agreed to assist in Mueller's investigation. So some wondering, all right, do all these tweets mean something's going to happen?
Yeah.
They're getting closer. White House attorney Ty Cobb, who, by the way, best attorney name ever, right? Baseball legend and what? Separate guys. But Ty Cobb, 2 different people. Ty Cobb says the president is not considering or discussing the firing of special counsel Robert Mueller. I don't know. Look at some of these tweets that the president sent out, and maybe some of this is the president just kind of unleashing his own personal stress or beliefs about this. But he says the Mueller probe should never been started, in that there was no collusion, no crime. It was based on fraudulent activities and a fake dossier paid for by crooked Hillary and the DNC and improperly used in FISA court for surveillance of my campaign. Witch hunt. So this is a common theme. He tweeted something about it being a witch hunt
Several
again
times
today.
about witch hunt.
You know, I mean, if in fact there was no collusion, if he did not know about some of this stuff that we're hearing about, is he wrong to say this is a witch hunt, or is this what kind of
the president
most
calls a
legislators?
lot of things witch hunts. This is nothing new. And I think now a lot of Republicans are being asked about this topic. Some of them don't want to speak on it at all. And then you have a guy like House Speaker Paul Ryan, who's saying he's warned Trump over the weekend, and he's saying that Mueller's team is just trying to do their job, which they should be allowed to do. And then you have also South Carolina Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy said yesterday, he spoke out on a lot of cable news channels saying it's just very distracting when the president comes out and says these kinds of things, and that if you just let the investigation play out, that if you let it run its course, and if the president is saying that he is not guilty, that indeed that everything will be fine.
Yeah, Kylie, it's one of those things that when you have a president whose campaign is being investigated, speaking out against the campaign, it's tricky. Like, he's acting in a way like a candidate instead of the guy who's in charge of this office, really.
Yeah, and I think just the most fascinating part about it is that we've never had access like this before to a president's kind of thought process, you know, for better or for worse, kind of watching what someone in such power thinks as they're going through. And it's very, very interesting. But you can also see if indeed there is no wrongdoing here, he is not someone who wants to waste taxpayer time or dollars, or has said that that's not something that he wants to do.
I think, too, a lot of people are used to answering questions about a president's statement. Maybe it's a statement given by his press secretary, or it's a statement that he's given formally in a press conference. Now, though, we have a president who makes statements at all hours of the day, and then all of a sudden his counterparts are being asked to make a statement on behalf of him, and they don't really even know what he's thinking.
Yeah, it is fascinating for sure. And it's hard to know. Do the tweets keep it in the news more if you would just ignore it, and then people might talk about other things? I don't know.